What does it mean to be creative?
When I choose to be a moderator, it's my goal to make the focus on the celebrity and their relationship to the fans.
To think outside the box.
He said, well, you can't be all things to all people or something to that effect. You can't appeal to everybody. And I said, why the hell not?
We sit down with artists, filmmakers, comedians, and performers of all genres to ask them 8 simple questions on what makes them tick and what can we learn from their quest for creativity. It's time for your Cre8tivity podcast.
Welcome back, everybody. We're in the basement of a... Somebody let us into their house again. Can you believe that, Steve?
Well, I mean, the guns helped and the masks, so it does...
I know what I was getting into. I was like, guys with guns and masks, that's fine. Come on in. Oh, a podcast? Come on.
That's very much how it went
Can't you
down.
just take my money and leave? Oh.
No, we'll take that after. Like, we're totally going to take that after.
We're in...
Yeah, thank you for being in my house.
Not a problem.
Where the hell are we?
We're in Richie T's basement.
Yeah. A quick warning, gentlemen. Don't touch this part of the ceiling. I'm pretty sure it's asbestos. It's the old popcorn ceiling.
Wait, he's saying that as he's touching it. Yeah. So, like, just saying.
I think it's like... And I don't understand why they did that, right? Like, so it's flat in some parts and the popcorn ceiling in other parts. I don't understand why you would ever paint the popcorn onto the ceiling. Anyway, I'm pretty sure that has asbestos in it. That's all that was.
Pretty sure that's what my parents did in our basement.
So, why? I don't get it. A different time, man, I guess. I don't know. It's awful. We're in my devastating basement at the Homesteadman. And people can see pictures of the Homesteadman if they search the hashtag #TheHomesteadman. You can see all the different incarnations that this house has been so far and then what it hopefully will become as I work through it.
So you can post pictures of the asbestos.
Yeah. In fact, you know what I'll do today? I'll post some pictures of the asbestos so people can check it out.
Okay, that's good.
Of you touching it?
Yeah, of me touching it, feeling it. I won't breathe it.
Just
That's
touch
what
it.
kills you. You're fine so long as you don't breathe it. And
Yeah,
it doesn't kill you right
we're
away.
in a really well-vented basement that's not vented at the moment, so just saying. Yeah, I'm good.
No, I'm fine. I've got a year-old Sprite if you want one. Let me know.
Oh my gosh.
And some almonds, some smokehouse almonds. Let me know. They're the 100 calorie packs. If you want one of those, you let me know. That's what I've been living on.
Hey, almonds are healthy.
Yeah, no, I know. They're not healthy when you dip them in smokehouse seasoning and all that stuff.
In the asbestos basement. Well, that could be in the smokehouse flavoring too.
Sure.
It's fine.
Different kind of smokehouse.
It's
no,
good.
no, with asbestos.
So Dylan, what's up today?
We're going to talk to Richie about everything he does.
Ugh, I'm tired already.
I don't even know where to start with describing you. Why don't you describe yourself for us?
Well, I'm a middle-aged gentleman recently out of a divorce who...
So he's single on Tinder and Bumble.
So, on neither. Here's the deal. So, with Tinder, right? When I got divorced, everyone's like, yeah, you gotta do Tinder. You gotta do the Tinder thing. And so I decided, you know what? I'll do the Tinder thing. I will run out there. I will do the Tinder thing. And so you can log into Tinder with Facebook, and it does the automatic pictures for you, right? Searches, does some sort of algorithm or something like that. And so I have my my Tinder profile, and at first I think everybody is sort of this way, right? Like you're really selective about who you swipe right on, right? Like it's like, you know, I am not going to just swipe right on anybody, so I'm going through. I'm like, no. Okay, yes, she gets the swipe right. And then, like, no matches, right? But I felt like I was pretty selective, but I probably swiped right, like, on, like, 20 people the first day. Nothing. And then the next day, I'm like, 40 people, right? I'm, like, a little less selective. I'm like, well, maybe I was thinking I'm a little better than I am. And part of it is the validation where it's like, does anybody want me, post post-marriage, in the divorce zone, all that stuff, right? So then like 40 the second day, nothing. Then like 60 the next day, nothing. No matches. So it gets to be where I'm about 5 or 6 days in on Tinder, and I'm swiping right on everyone just to see if someone will match with me. And I'm like, why? What is the deal here?
See, that's kind of my model. Just shut my eyes and just keep swiping. And like, I'm not really sure what I'm getting, but I haven't found a match yet.
No?
Yeah, no matches.
So I'm like, what? And so my friend is like, well, what are your profile pictures? And I was like, I didn't know that was a thing, right? Because Facebook, like I said, would select one picture, right? And I saw that one, and it was a I wasn't about to be anything like glam shot or whatever, because it's like, take me as I am. I'm not doing anything,
You didn't want the unicorn and stars background.
Right, exactly. So they're like, what are your other profile pictures? And then I start looking through my other profile pictures that Facebook selected for me automatically. And like the second one is me with a scorpion in my mouth from the folks over at Creative Encounters or Creature Encounters here in Salt Lake.
Good old Carrie.
Yeah. And then the third one is me with my hair so messed up, just messed up, with one of my interns sitting on my lap, and it's about the most homosexual, homoerotic photo you could have. So that's the third photo, and then the fourth photo is me and my ex-wife's engagement photo, and that's what the 4 photos that Tinder/Facebook selected for me. It's like, of course not.
They're the most important people in your life.
Right. So I changed it up, but I ended up matching with one girl, and then once we kind of met and went out, I got off of Tinder. And Bumble, I just was like, what is this? I don't have time for these things. And downloaded it, looked at it, took it off.
Aww.
I know. I'm old fashioned. I'm like Steve. I'll meet you in a bookstore, and I'll write my phone number in the book and my name, and you find it 20 years later. I'm that kind of romance.
That's who's been putting the notes on my car.
Yeah.
They're
Just
from Richie. I'll meet you at Sam Weller's. We'll be there later today.
So yeah. Wait. So what were we? So that's one of the things I do is get on and off of Twitter, I guess. So going back to the question. I produce the Radio from Hell show on X96. It's a rock alternative station in Salt Lake City. I get to work usually between about 4:30 and 5, and that show has been in the top 5 since I've been there. I've been there now 12 years.
So are you saying it's in the top 5 specifically because of you? Before then, like Bill and Carrie, they were like maybe in the top 15 or something. Were good,
but I can with confidence say, I mean, I have some part to do with it, right? Because they've been in the top 5 the whole 12 years I've been there. Maybe I have nothing to do with it.
No, I think it's entirely you.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I'm actually going to sit on the floor because this bar stool is not comfortable. I've decided, or maybe sit on a chair. No, I'm going to sit on the floor.
You got it?
Oh, yeah, asbestos floor.
We're going to share a mic. I can't get this third mic.
Well, I'm gonna hog this mic for a moment then. But so Richie, tell us a little bit about you. Like I've done some research.
Uh-oh.
So tell me, you're more than just a producer. You've done all kinds of stuff. But going back to when you were a child, Dr. Demento.
Okay, so
what role did that have in your life?
So if we're going way back, right? So when I was younger, like man, I must have been like 5th or 6th grade. Dr. Demento, which is I think where Weird Al got his start. It was a program that would come on K-Bear, which is a rock station, like active rock station, kind of classic rock station here, and it would come on like 11 o'clock at night, and it was just like your silly, wacky songs, right? Like all your Weird Al stuff, or trying to think of some of the other ones, some of the other artists that were, but they were just funny. And so I would stay up with my mom's cassette recorder and program it with the radio, and I would record the whole radio. And then this was back when, like, if you wanted to do it without commercials, that then you had to dub it again from your original to taking out the commercials and then get your finally your whole thing. And then I would take the cassette tapes with these funny songs, where most of the songs and most of the jokes were were pretty adult. Like I remember one in particular. There was this song called "Wet Dream," which now remember I'm 5th or 6th grade. The song "Wet Dream" is this. It's obviously this whole innuendo song, but it's about this guy who all of the things he keeps dreaming about are fish related, right? So it's sort of a narrative in a song, and it's like, I took in my rented Barracuda, and the mechanic said I'd blown a seal, and he said fix the dang thing and leave my private life out of it, right? And so, like I knew the punchlines for jokes, but I didn't understand the full scope of what the joke was. I just knew I could tell by the sound of it when the joke was. So I'd go and I'd play it for the kids at school. I'd take my tape recorder, this big, bulky, not your iPod, your tape recorder.
Wait, so the teachers were okay with you talking about wet dreams in school?
Well, no, at recess. So we would gather around the tape recorder at recess and play these old songs. So, I mean, that was sort of the start of doing that. When I going into middle school, I was, and people are pretty surprised about this. I was fairly, I had taken an advanced math class. I was, pretty smart, I guess. I don't like to tout myself as smart, but I guess that's what it was. And so, I was kind of on the path of being, more sort of intellectual.
Where did you grow up also?
Sandy.
Okay.
So I went to, so between 7th and 8th grade is when my parents got divorced. So 7th grade year, like I'm going in and I'm like, it is business classes, it is communication stuff, and this is what I want to do. And so my parents get divorced. My oldest sister, she's in college or about to go to college. My older brother, he's in high school, so he's basically doing his own thing. And my 2 younger brothers are too young to really kind of get what's going on. But right in the middle of it, I'm screaming for attention, middle child anyway. And real quick, I learned that, the way for me to get attention was not by taking these business classes and not by doing this, but by, being funny or getting people to laugh. And so I would do stuff like that. Come 8th grade, 9th grade, I started to dress from the DI, which is a thrift store here in Salt Lake, like the Salvation Army. So it would be like old corduroy suits. I went through a phase of like the polo shirts that you would get if you work at 7-Eleven or Circle K, or you know what I'm saying? So all those kind of shirts. I'd spend all my newspaper route money and my money from cleaning the handicap school, like the kids. That's probably not the right term, but I can't think of what the right term is. But like there was this school where kids who were severely disabled, right? But they had school so they could learn these basic motor skills and some things like that. Where I was a janitor, and I'd take all my money and just spend it on the dumbest clothes. I went through like a floral print, wide lapel phase, and all these things, and then through high school, wore. You guys remember the basketball player Scottie Pippen?
Oh yeah,
yeah. Played with Jordan back in those days. Pippen had a line of shoes, too. So Michael Jordan does, but Scottie Pippen did, and his were just bright red. They looked like clown shoes, and so went up to the Nike outlets up in Park City and bought a pair of like size 17 or 18 Scottie Pippens and wore those every day, like normal pair of pants, normal shirt, big old shoes that I would just walk around in. So. I mean, a long story, not very short. Just kind of always did things that would do attention. Did student government, did theater in high school, did the choir, and got to perform with them a bunch. And yeah, so I guess that kind of gets me through high school.
Okay, and then Scottie Pippen.
Right.
Chicago.
Sure.
Integral part of your life.
Absolutely. So let me get there. I'll go quick through the other stuff. So first year of college, went to Southern Utah University. Same deal. My mom did this big thing where she was like, yeah, okay, your theater has been fun. What you've been doing is fun, but you need to really buckle down. So
but she was trying to clean out the corduroy suits.
Yeah. You go away to college. I'll take care of this. But I mean, she really emphasized the importance of getting a good and quality education, and so I got down to SUU in my first semester. I took all the classes, like all the gen ed classes that I should have, right? So none of the classes that I really liked, but ones that I needed to take care of. And it was the worst semester. Oh my gosh, it was terrible. So the second semester, I just was like all theater classes, and I'm like, I'm going to go on a mission for the LDS Church. And so then come back and I take a bunch of dance classes because before, this is kind of an interesting thing, before I had thought in my wrong thinking but not exposed to the world kind of thinking, I'd always wanted to take dance classes or to be a part of dance, but I sort of equated dance with gay. And I was like, well, I'm not gay, so I don't want to take dance classes, right? Because taking dance classes makes you gay. And which it sounds so absurd to say that, but I think there was a little part of me in my younger years that thought, yeah, that's how it is, right? It's not that you are attracted to men; it's that for some reason you take a dance class and then you love men, which
that is great logic,
right? But it really was a thing. So I had a mission companion who, he was very straight and he loved dancing, and we would. Oftentimes when we were tracting, we would like dance down the streets of Cleveland, Ohio, and so it sort of made that safe. So then I got back to college and did that, and then working up to Chicago. I'm getting there. So then I started working at the radio station, and I had been dating this girl for a couple years, and it didn't end up working out. She moved away for school, and it didn't end up working out, and I was really really depressed and also really just sort of wandering, right? Couldn't figure out what I wanted to do. And to be truthful, being really self-destructive, drugs or alcohol has never been my destruction, but there are plenty of other destructive ways that you can have besides that. And I enjoyed every single one of them.
Like asbestos, the almonds, like the year-old Sprite. I get you.
Yeah, living on the edge. The asbestos, seriously. It's so ridiculous, and it's got glitter in it. Can you see that? That's how you know it's got asbestos. I actually looked that up. That's how you know there's asbestos in it.
Just because there's glitter doesn't mean you're gay either.
Yeah. My ceiling is gay. So in the midst of making just terrible life decisions, I went out to Chicago. They were offering these week-long immersions is what they call them, but they're essentially just workshops. And I took some improv stuff with Second City, and then another one that they did that was a couple of weeks was this thing called clowning, essentially clown college. Not like the here's how you paint your face, and make sure you fit the water in the flower and squirt people in the face, but this whole mentality of clowns and clowning. And what that means and how so I mean, if we can dive real quick, so the idea with clowns is that nothing is impossible for a clown, right? They can make up these ridiculous ways to solve the problems, and they work because they're clowns. And for whatever reason, that way of looking at life changed my life completely at that time. It was what I needed, and it was, and it just really resonated with me. So then I came back, and shortly thereafter, I met my now ex-wife, and was really inspired. Immediately coming back to do the Salt Lake Comedy Festival, which we did for 5 years, which was a great experience and a lot of work. It inspired me sort of to do The Cultural Hall, which is a Mormon podcast that I do. People can find it at theculturalhall.com or anywhere that podcasts are available. But that, as I look back kind of on my life, that was a time where I think had I not done that or found myself at that time, I don't know. It's always that like looming, I don't know where I'd be if I hadn't done that. But I don't know where I'd be if I hadn't done that. So... So Chicago, yes, I love Chicago. And I got to see the Cubs play in the World Series last year, in the only game they won at Wrigley. And if they keep playing as crappy as they're playing this year, they may not make it again this year. So I'll take that.
We'll have to wait another 108 years.
No, you take that back.
I was kidding.
Okay.
I know.
You guys want a 108-year-old Sprite? I might have one actually here.
I'm doing okay. Let's touch on the theater again. You do stuff at the Desert Star Playhouse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
how'd you get connected with that?
So, my first year back, well, I guess a couple things. So my grandmother is a theater teacher here in the state of Utah, or she was, I guess, for several years. She won Teacher of the Year. She was recognized as like arts theater teacher. Got this big thing because she inspired a lot of people. She's amazing. Mavis Stedman is her name, and when I was probably 7 or 8, she took me over to Murray Park, and they have an outdoor amphitheater where they do shows every summer. It's like a 2-week run of something, and we saw South Pacific. And, I don't know if it was that I got to get free popcorn at the show when I knocked over a basket of popcorn, and they're like, oh, did you want that? Because you can have that basket for free that you just knocked over. Or... watching the show itself or just the lights. I'm not sure what it was, but I remember that very distinctly being an awesome experience. But then she took us to Desert Star when Desert Star first opened to see Phantom of the Opera. I think it was called something else, but it was a Phantom of the Opera spoof. And I remember saying out loud to her and to I think when the MC talked to me, I said, you know what, one day I'm going to perform on the stage here. And so that sort of always stuck with me. And, for my 14th or 15th birthday, I got season tickets there. So I would go a bunch and just love it. And then when I got back going forward, when I got back from my mission, I got back in the summertime. And I remember reading in the newspaper for an audition notice. And up to this point in theater, I'd never really done anything where I had said lines by myself on stage. It was always like, yeah, I'm one of the guys in the chorus. Yeah, well, let's go get him. Or, whatever the thing is. And so I went and auditioned, and, they ask for a headshot when you audition. And I didn't have a headshot, so I took my face to a Xerox copier and did the left side of my face, the front of my face, and the right side of my face. And I did an audition, and back then my teeth could come out. So I'm taking my teeth out, and they're like, man, you had a huge commitment to comedy. Cause that was the only reason I still hadn't had my teeth fixed. Cause I was like, this is funny. And, all these things. And I didn't hear from them. I was devastated. And then about a month later, they called me up. I remember exactly where I was. I was out mowing the lawn. My cell phone goes off, and they're like, hey, how are you? And I'm like, great. And they're like, hey, we need you. And I'm like, oh, cool. And they're like, yeah, in 5 days, you'll need to step into the show. And at that point, I'm just like freaking out. It was a show called Beverly Hillbillies 90210. And I played with this most amazing actress, was the one who I pretty much was in all the scenes with. Her name is Mary Parker Williams, who she's over at Hale Center right now doing It's a Wonderful Life, To Kill a Mockingbird. Phenomenal. She's great. I'm freaking out. I'm having to memorize all these lines in 5 days and all the songs that we do in the Olio afterwards, and just loved it. And then since then, they can't get rid of me because I just love it that much.
Which character were you in the Beverly Hillbillies?
I was the grandpa character. So our big musical number was a song called Seniors in the Night. And it's interesting because it kind of plays back to the stuff with Dr. Demento, right? There, a lot of those songs were sort of parodies, so it was such a natural fit. But it's like seniors in the night, exchanging dentures, wandering in the night. I can't remember, but we had this kiss. So she's old enough to be my mom, but we had this kiss. So there I am in my first show where I'm doing anything, and I have to kiss this lady that's like 25 years older than me. And it wasn't that we even kissed like a passionate kiss. That's not what it was. But there was a bit that I can't remember if they were supposed to be Viagra or I get smashed in the face and they're supposed to be my teeth.
Which could still come out at the time.
Yeah, which could still come out at the time. What? I can't remember, but they were Tic Tacs, and I had to take them from my mouth and put them in hers. and it was just the most. They stopped doing that after that show, and in fact, in a couple episodes in with her, or not episodes, a couple shows in with her, we stopped doing it. But
kids were passing out in the alley. It was like, just no, block that out.
I think it stopped because she didn't want to do it anymore, but it made me so nervous. Right?
Oh my
you
God.
know what I'm saying?
Totally.
Oh, I can't believe I just said that on this thing, but my God.
That was actually, okay, in all the podcasts I've been a part of, that was the most iconic. That was epic.
Oh, shoot. Yeah, man. I hope people enjoyed that story.
That was pretty good.
Incredible story.
So anyway, where were we on things? Sorry about that little tangential joke there for a minute.
We had to let the guy out of the basement.
Yeah. You blocked him in. He wanted to go get a sandwich over at Grey Harvest.
No, that's what he said, but which was code for, please, can I go to the bathroom?
Yeah,
let me out of the cell.
It's a Modelo break. Don't worry about it. You're heading off. So anyway,
Desert Star.
Oh yeah. So I've been there now for 16 years. Love it. Love the opportunity. It's like playing with friends, which is the best part about it. Like it's just like being with creative, amazing, funny people, and taking something that's pretty funny originally, and just amping it up and seeing what we can do. And it's awesome because it's an environment and a community where it's like, I'm going to try this, and instead of people being like, well, it's always like, yeah, awesome. And when you do that, I'm going to do this thing, and then we can build off each other from that. So yeah, that's Desert Star.
Okay, so you're like a man of all trades. You've done all kinds of stuff. What are you afraid of?
The thing is, failing. If you look at the things that I do, I don't take a considerable amount of risks. Everything is pretty calculated, and thought out and sort of measured, and so risks is a thing I don't do, and fear and my fear is failing. The house that we sit in is sort of an example of as I'm trying to, grow or be a deeper person, I guess. I don't know what I'm doing as far as renovating a house goes. I literally, the electricians are here today, but they can tell you about conversations where it's like, yeah, let's do this, and then the next time they come, I'm like, yeah, I thought about that. Let's not do that. Let's do this, and so. I mean, there's a lot of things out there for me. Like, I would love to just move away and go and experience something else. But I have a fear of either, not having enough money for retirement, or getting there and not being able to find a job, or like losing anything that I've gained as a person here. 'Cause so much in the entertainment industry, or just, in life, like I feel like the more you do it, if you stay in the same place, it gets kind of easier, right? And so... yeah, I have this tremendous fear about taking a leap and having it be wrong. But here's the thing, and I mentioned this on Facebook a couple of weeks ago, maybe even last week, is it's like anytime that I've taken the risk, like I haven't ever failed. And people are like, "Oh, but your marriage." And I'm like, "Thanks, jerk." But I don't feel like I don't feel like I failed at my marriage. I feel like I did the very best I could. I feel like it didn't work out, but I don't feel like I failed. And so it's interesting that I would be so literally petrified about some of the things that I want to do for fear of failure, because I don't know that I would allow myself to fail, but for some reason I don't get past the I could fail, so I better not do that.
Yeah, you got to keep trying, because there's different things that I've, this podcast is one of them. If, it was inspired by you. It was inspired by my brother's blog. It was inspired by the Creative Mornings things I go to. It just, without taking that first step, and it's been an amazing experience. I see Steve all the time because we record together. And
that actually is probably the worst part for Dylan, is having to be stuck with me.
And asbestos poisoning? You never would have had that before?
Never.
Can you feel it in your lungs, by the way? What? No.
It's all right.
I can feel it in my fingers. I can feel it in my toes.
I think I just had the death rattle.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure that's what that was.
Oh no. We're gonna have to carry him out of here.
This will be her last podcast.
The death rattle.
If you listen real closely, you can hear the death rattle from
Yeah.
Steve.
Did you hear that? Like,
Have you heard the death rattle before in real life?
yeah,
Horrible, right?
but I also thought it would be.
No, you're not gonna tell me it's a sweet something.
No, but it would be a pretty badass. Like, okay, if you're a wrestler, like the death rattle would be a pretty cool name.
Yeah.
And then you come
or
out
like your signature move, right?
yeah.
Oh no. You know, I don't know, whatever the guy's name is.
Coming
He's
in
bringing out
at
the death rattle.
295 pounds. The death rattle is coming out right now.
Jeez.
You were just
That's
slammed.
a great name. You were just slammed by the death
rattle.
How do you feel now?
He's got like the rattlesnake tattoo on his arm, and you know his whole thing is some obnoxious thing with his hand. You know, remember with the Rock being like, the people's elbow, and it always shows elbow.
I mean, yeah, it better be a snake as opposed to like a little baby rattle,
Yeah.
and because that would just be a little like
out as a
just a little prissy. Like cry me a river, little death rattle.
Yeah.
Like see where I go now.
Well, I actually like the comedy behind that. Actually, maybe the death rattle is just like a grown man in a baby costume.
Little baby bonnet,
Skull t-shirt.
diapers.
Whole thing,
He whips out the diaper to reveal his wrestling shorts.
or his death rattle. What is this? Yeah.
A few episodes back, I interviewed our producer Sasha and his podcast made about radio and podcasting and kind of where they are right now.
Uh-huh.
I'm interested what your opinion.
Where is podcasting right now? So many people don't know about it, or know about it but don't do it. It's fascinating to me. I mean, because I feel like people who do it know it, have their podcasts that they love, but so many people I don't think have ever downloaded a podcast. I think it's more and more every year, but I am surprised, and I think it's generational some, but I'm surprised about a lot of people that are my age and younger who have never listened to a podcast. Who when I say podcast, and they either go, the comic thing is, what time is that on? And it's like, no, it's like on demand. Shut up. Okay, never mind.
anytime.
Because I have to eat dinner, and then
Yeah.
I have Jeopardy.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I can squeeze in the podcast.
So there's that, and then like, how do I download it? Right. I think that my dad is a great example of someone who would really like podcasts. He's got an iPhone, has all the means necessary to do it, but just, doesn't get what that could be, right? He's an avid runner, would love listening to, some of those huge podcasts about, runners. I can't think of what the names of them are right now, but would love that. And I think he just is one that goes, when he thinks of listening to something, he does think, okay, well, in the morning it's Doug Wright on, KSL, and then I flip over to my oldies for the, noonday countdown, and so there's some of that, and then there's other people that I don't know if it's just late adopters or ignorance, not ignorance in a mean way, but so the other side of it is I feel like probably 3 or 4 years ago when everyone had a podcast, right? Everyone's had a podcast, and I feel like now we're getting at a time where those that have consistently done it are starting to have really great things. I feel like there are new up and coming podcasts that are really great, but I feel like
He's saying that about us with like the air asterisks. Like,
Yeah.
there's some up and coming. Maybe they'll make it. It could go either way.
This episode is awesome.
Especially that story.
Yeah, but like I feel like there were for a short time there was anybody can have a podcast kind of thing, and that was sort of the joke, and I know that is the case, that anyone can have a podcast, but I feel like people quickly were like, yeah, I have a podcast about gardening, and they'd get an episode in and go, this is harder than I thought, or people would be like, yeah, but that was so boring. We talked about seeds for So
I talked about the death rattle.
Yeah, you guys went on about the death rattle. Maybe you call your podcast the
Maybe
death
you guys
rattle.
just don't get it.
Yeah.
You're the wrong audience.
Yeah. You don't know what you're listening for. You got the wrong thing going on. So I feel like it's finally a time where podcasts that are going to be successful now are ones. I still feel like anybody can create and have a podcast, and that's what's so great about it, right? You have a microphone, you have access to the internet, you've got a podcast.
But you've got a phone, you could, almost do it. Yeah.
But I feel like the ones that will get, the listens or the notoriety or anything like that will be the people who are more entertained. I feel like there was a time where it was just, or more entertaining. There was a time where anybody could do it, and people kind of went, oh, cool, this, and I'll listen to that. And now I think standards for podcasts are starting to go up a little bit.
Production value.
Yeah,
and
not necessarily this one, because remember that time where we had to shut the thing off because
letting the guy out of the cell just to go pee.
Yeah. What are you
some yard time.
Is he back yet? Do we need to lock? Where are the shackles? Did he? Where is he?
No, he's chained to the toilet.
Yeah.
I tried podcasting out in those early days, and they weren't pretty episodes.
No.
I did one episode of one called 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon.
Uh-huh.
And it was through a thing where you could have guests call in, and you played the game.
Uh-huh.
And that was interesting, and I just never did it again, but it was kind of fun. And then I did one episode of, I called it the Travel Cast, and I talked to a guy from Hawaii.
Uh-huh.
The recording didn't even work. Luckily, he recorded it, and that's the audio file that I have.
Nice.
But yeah, you think I'm nervous now when I do this?
I think this is great, and it's
crazy.
So it's interesting. So I think about. Like the Mormon podcast I do, the Culture Hall, it's pretty successful, and I feel like it.
Okay, pretty successful. You were actually awarded the best podcast from Utah.
Awards. Come on, stop it, Steve. Yeah, I mean, and it was the fastest growing for a while, and we were nationally ranked for a little bit, and the thing is, and it's so hard because. There's so much time. It's like another job. And so it's hard when that's not paying you to always stay connected to what it is. And for me, that one in particular was about having discussions about things in and around Mormonism that were difficult for people to have. So that everyone sort of felt included, very inclusive and safe. So there's that. But I think it's easier and there are lots of people who do this, that they make a little scratch from what they're doing, right? Money can be a great motivator, right? Like, oh man, I'm tired, or I should probably spend time with my family or whatever, but I put another one of these episodes out and I can make a couple $100. That'll be experiences with us, or this is my only job, so this is what's paying the rent. And where with that one in particular, it wasn't a money-making thing, but sort of a passion thing. It's hard because, passions... don't come and go necessarily, but can get distracted by other things. As I've been working on this house, it's been really hard to do that one. I'm working now, so my older brother is the community director for Yelp, and is an author of a book called The Best Tent Camping in Utah, and he and I have talked about doing the very same thing, which is a travel podcast, with the idea that we would start locally going, traveling around and doing we talk to the guys from Big Cottonwood Canyon and, find what that is and tell you about a couple of trails that we go on. And then we start to expand as people get interested in it, right?
So when you guys hit the hotels for that, instead of the tent stuff, can I go?
Yeah, no. And so that would be the thing, right? So we would sort of work out the kinks as we do this in these very local things, things that people would appreciate, hiking very locally and doing some of that. But then garner an audience enough to be like, now we're going to Vegas and we're going to see what Vegas is like, and we'll have a hotel for Steve, right?
Yeah, because I don't camp.
Yeah.
Probably the key thing in a
No
camping
at all?
and hiking.
You wouldn't go glamping? Would you go glamping?
Yeah, maybe glamping, but when it comes time that I need to go to the bathroom, I need a toilet.
Yeah, why?
Yeah, well, because I just don't do bushes.
Can we make inappropriate jokes for a second? Because I think I would be afraid if I were you that I would fall in.
I mean, well, yeah, I'm afraid of that, but I'm afraid of a lot of stuff. Like, I mean, there's snakes, there's all kinds of stuff. There's scorpions in the desert. I mean, there's like some pretty bad things.
Yes.
I'm not sure I want to pee in that or do the other stuff. So, like, I'm just saying I want indoor plumbing.
Well, it's the smell for me. I don't mind. I'll pee in any hole, but like when you go in and it's just like your eyes are burning from the whatever gases that come from when that stuff is decomposing.
If you guys can helicopter me in for a bit, like I probably have about 4 or 5 hours, so I could like be somewhere for 4 or 5 hours, and then I need the bathroom.
What's funny to me is as you tell me that, and you're thinking of obviously sitting in the helicopter, like I'm seeing this image of you like in a harness with a chain coming up. Guys, I'm coming!
I'm there. Wait a minute. We got to like turn it back. I'll be back in a minute.
Hold on.
Just 10 minutes. I promise. I'll be right back. It was a rougher flight than I envisioned.
You took me on the helicopter ride, but you didn't say it was outside.
And Richie, I know you're in a hurry.
No hurry.
Like
no hurry. You just have, 15 minutes.
Okay, what you talked about money isn't necessarily the success.
Right.
What does success mean to you, or what defines success for you?
Sometimes it is the money, Steve. I'll be honest with you. Like, so we haven't even touched on this, but I also started doing wedding and DJ stuff, and emceeing things, and to know that what I do and getting crowds excited about stuff, or making an event successful for somebody, and then to see money come in from it, it is success, because it lets me know that these people wouldn't pay just anyone to do this. They need someone who will be professional, treat their event the way that it needs to be, but is also worth the money. And some of the events that I have done and the amount I've been paid, it's like, yeah, this is great. This lets me know, this is vindication for me that A, not just anyone could do it, but that B, that I'm valued for what I'm good at. So sometimes it is the money. I won't lie. But the other part of it, so like, I mean, there's so many different things. Like sometimes it's just, I think of when I do the show at the Desert Star over Christmas, right? Christmas is a busy time, and sometimes it's a really lonely time for people. And you see people coming out of the theater who have some very obvious health problems, or you can tell that they were sort of stressed coming in, and to be able to see people and they've just look like they have just forgotten their problems for a little while, like that to me is tremendously rewarding. When I think about the things like with the podcast that I do, the Mormon podcast in specific, where we'll talk about a subject that's hard, or that that challenges a lot of people's faith or testimonies, and receive emails where it's like, what, I felt like I was alone in this thing, and you guys let me know that I wasn't so alone, or you answered some questions that have really been bothering me, and now I have this and have you guys as friends as a resource, and being able to help that out. And then even going to the radio job, for the last couple of weeks I was able to fill in for one of the regular hosts, which I don't often get to a couple times a year, but this was for a couple week stint, and having people say, hey, you know what, it's a great show. It's not the same as when the regular host is there, obviously, but this was great and we enjoyed you. It's not necessarily a pride thing, but it is to me a thing where, 12 years ago when I started working there, I didn't know the first thing about doing it, and now to know that I can step in and can do it without really causing a huge abrupt change to people, it's like, yeah, that's awesome.
You remember to turn on the mics.
Yeah, I normally remember to turn on the microphone. I always make sure that whenever we do the show, we do it in a basement with asbestos. No, but yeah, I mean some very simple things, but also some complex things that I just, as far as all those kind of professional things right now, I feel really blessed for where I'm at.
Speaking of professional relationships and stuff like that, I just want to thank you for finally breaking down and letting me, intern in X96, because even now, what's happened, because of that, has been an integral part of what I do.
Yeah.
You connected me with Keith Stubbs,
Who owns Wise Guys?
Who owns
People
Wise
don't know,
Guys.
That's a comedy club in Salt Lake.
I do design work for them. I did design work for your comedy festival.
Mm-hmm.
And
The Cultural Hall, you do all that
The
stuff
Cultural
and you
Hall.
kill it. It's awesome.
I was the number 2 employee at Cultural Hall. I was there before it was a
Before
podcast.
it was anything else.
I was probably eating the refreshments. I'm not sure I ever made it to the
You
Cultural
didn't
Hall.
make it into the Cultural Hall. He's the one out in the kitchen. Guys, have you seen...
I was
swear there
just
was
looking
another
for those
plate of cookies here.
snickerdoodles. If anybody has the snickerdoodles, I could have sworn there was a batch.
No, it's those mint brownies, right? You know what I'm talking
Oh,
about?
actually,
do you
those
guys
are
have
really
those?
good.
Do you have those up at your
No,
shop?
but maybe we should make them.
Here's the thing. Let me throw out an idea to you, because not enough places do this. Call them the Mormon brownie, and it's the brownie with the layer of green mint and then the layer of frosting on the top, and you just call it the Mormon brownie. The BYU brownie is what they call it down in Provo. You just call it the Mormon brownie. Own it for what it is.
I need to steal Laurel Bean's recipe. So, Laurel, if you're listening, I need to steal your recipe. Anybody that has access to Laurel Bean's brownie recipe, just kind of sneak it out of a recipe box, deliver it to the chocolate. I will give you chocolates at the chocolate shop for that recipe.
Okay, I'll steal it. I'll steal it for that.
I'll give
If
you
you'll
her
make-
address.
Yeah, I really will, because those things, like, there are not enough places that do that, and something like that just owns what it is, because that is the pinnacle Mormon brownie. Just, that's what I want for lunch right now.
Is a Mormon brownie.
Yeah, layer of mint. It's a fine balance too, because you can't have too much.
I think
mint.
Mormon brownies in Colorado might have a different thing.
Yeah.
So, like, I mean, maybe we could go different routes
different type of
depending on the
mint.
audience.
Yeah. What is this? I'm seeing multiple wives. No, I don't know. I went for something and then I went quickly. Nah, it wasn't where I wanted to
I'm
go.
giving a lot more tithing this week. I'm up to 20%.
I'm giving 420%. There it is.
My closing question is, of all the things you do, what are some of the favorite things that you've experienced or enjoy doing?
So for the radio, my favorite thing that I've done for them was we did a few years back now, like 9 years or so, the 5,000th episode, celebration of this morning show that's been together now 31 years. We celebrated their 5,000th episode and went kind of like this is your life in radio. It was awesome. Just starting the Cultural Hall was the thing for me, just saying I was going to do it and then finally doing it. It was 2 years before it even got off the ground, because we were trying to get a domain. So just the fact that I did it. And my ex-wife, one of the things that I attribute greatness to her is that she said in her loving kind of way, she said, you know what, either do this or shut up about it. And so, I mean, that's a thing that I really love, that has taught me a bunch about broadcasting and who I am and kind of where I'm coming from as far as that goes. And then I guess if we get serious for a minute, your question again, let me make sure that I'm answering it exactly.
Just some of your favorite things of all the things you do.
This will sound cheesy, so cue the Hallmark music underneath. I love, so when I was married, I got a kid through it, and then we got divorced, and I made the commitment that I'd still have my kid in my life as much as he wanted to. And lots of people are like, he's not even your kid, right? And I came in like third quarter. He was like 11 years old when I first met him. But like having an adult kid, and I think this would be the case if he was like my birth kid or otherwise, but like having an adult kid where instead of like, oh, I'm worried about if he's going to do this or doing that, right? Like he does things that I wish he didn't do. But I'm sure that my dad would say the same thing about me. But I love palling around with him. Like just, he was here helping me at my house a couple weeks ago, and we ripped out a bunch of things. And he's worried about money now, right? Which was always, I was always like, you're spending money, let's go. But, he's like, hey, do you have some work? And I can come and we can hang out and I can work for you. And to just have a relationship that is a friendship with my kid, right? That's a thing for me. And then, also things like what this is, getting to know people. Steve, I've known you for 10 years or so, and Dylan, I've known you for at least that long, if not longer.
Yeah, pretty close to that, yeah.
But being able to see other people's successes and other people's paths too, right? Like I sort of check in every now and then with folks and go, "Hey, what's going on?" And to see, hey, the store, there was for a time that your guys' store was going to go out of business, right? And to see that the community rallied behind it, and to see that that's not the case, and you guys continue to go. Like there's a certain amount of pride that I take in being friends with really awesome people who are willing to go with what their dream is, right? This thing may never be anything. Like, and I don't mean to say that it won't be anything, because obviously we're recording it and it's existing, but it may not be This American Life ever, right?
Right.
But that doesn't matter. It feels like what matters is that you're doing it and that you love it. And so I love having people like that in my life, that, you guys do chocolate because it affects the community and you love it and it's a way to make a living, and there's all those elements to it. But, when it comes down to it, you're out there and you're doing it. So those are things that I love.
And I think actually that's why people love you, is I think that actually you are a part of the community, and I think we all feel that we're your friend.
Yeah.
And I think that that's like a huge strength to you, which is why this is such a good podcast, is because everybody just thinks of you as a close friend.
Oh, thanks.
And they value you, and they value your opinion, and they feel like you're just the neighbor next door that they can relate to. So.
Yeah. Although, to be fair, I don't have neighbors next door, so.
Well, not yet. I mean, but once
You haven't moved in
once
yet.
we let the guy out of his cell, then he,
He may move right in next door. He's like, you know what? That wasn't so bad. That cell.
He's actually a really nice guy. I got food.
I used to be in this neighborhood. I lived a block south.
Oh, yeah?
And I had my honeymoon a block north.
There you go. Oh, now you can retire right here. I'll sell it to you when I'm done fixing it up. You can have
The
it.
Homesteadman.
The Homesteadman.
If I get kicked out, if I help you, can I live here?
Yeah, you bet.
Okay.
There's a secret room I'll show you here in a minute. You're welcome to stay in there.
Okay.
We have to just move the other guy.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we got to move the shackles and put in another toilet.
We'll let you in.
Well, thank you, Richie. Thank
You're
you for
welcome.
joining us. I'm just gonna do a little promoting.
Okay.
Coming this summer at Hatch Family Chocolates, movies, kids movies, bunch of Fridays.
Yeah, I don't even know when the hell we do them all. I mean, June,
July, and August. Trolls, Sing, Moana, Lego Batman. I'm excited about seeing Lego Batman again. That's a fun movie.
Yeah, they'll be fun.
We've got an upcoming segment to the podcast, I Love Movies, and my friend Michael Reagan is going to record with me or with both of us, depending on how schedules work out. And we'll just a little segment about movies, pop culture. So
Cool.
that'll be kind of fun. And then this week, Sasha and Marcus were on I Am Salt Lake talking about the Utah Podcast Network. So I urge everybody to check that out and kind of learn about the network that we're on and everything. And just check us out on social, Your Cre8tivity. The A is an 8. I know that's weird, but I like it.
Thanks, Dylan.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Richie.
No, thank you.
And see y'all next time. Bye-bye.